Okay, where were you born?
In Sydney, Nova Scotia, October the 24th, 1911.
You were raised in Sydney?
No, until I was 6 years old. And then I went to Mulgrave. Well, my father died, and my mother was left a widow with 6 children. And at those times, there was no help. Dad had been sick in bed for a year. No, she was only 30. Dad was 36 when he died.
Yeah.
He had a rough old time, you know what I mean, because times were... Of course, I think when Dad worked, but then Dad was sick for over a year before he died. And,
What did he die of?
well, pneumonia, really. But I think he had, they used to call it Bright's disease, but I think more or less it was something like diabetes or something.
Oh, yeah.
So he died when he was only 36.
36, right.
Yeah, and then we were, you know, scattered. So anyway, she had to put the children in the home, 4 of us, just the 4 youngest ones. Kept the oldest girl with her, and the other girl with my grandmother. They stayed in Sydney for a little while. At Sydney River was the orphanage, was Barroncroft. And it was just new, and it was only a few children there. So I was there for about a year and a half, and then I was adopted. Yes, I went to Mulgrave. They all happened to be all adopted in, all relatives. I went to Mulgrave, my brother went to Inverness, and my sister went to Strathlourn, and my other brother went to Kenlock, and so they were all with relatives. And my mother lived down in the States after a number of years. She worked in Halifax for a while, and then she went to the States and worked in a college up in the States. She was still there at that job when she died.
What were your adopted parents' names?
Peoples, Jesse and George Peoples. I guess I was officially adopted, but I didn't know it until I was around after I had left there. But I did use their name. As soon as they died, I took my own name back.
How long did you live with them?
7 years.
7 years.
I was 14 when I left. I went from there to Port Hawkesbury. She unfortunately was killed, and so he broke up housekeeping. I went to Port Hawkesbury with her sister and stayed there from January until July, and then I came to Halifax with my sister Ethel. She and her husband lived on Shabukta Road in Halifax. I stayed with them, and then from there, then we moved to Bayers Road, and then from there I was married.
At what age were you married?
17.
Who did you marry?
Thomas Grace. Well, at my sister's, was away at that time, but he had been staying with her.
What did he do for a living?
Worked on the railway brakeman.
How old was Thomas when he married you?
Oh, he was 38.
38, so that was back.
Well, it did happen quite a bit, yeah. I was just young and no home, I guess, and just, you know, anxious to get a home of my own, I guess, and, you know.
Okay, you have a sister living down in the States, is it?
I did have, yes. She's died. She's dead now,
right.
yeah. And my mother lived down in the States after a number of years. She worked in Halifax for a while, and then she went to the States and worked.
When did you move out to Sackville?
Sackville in 1941.
So you've been married how long at that time?
I had four children. I was married in 1928. He died in 59, and we were married in 28. So it was 29 years.